My name is Vivienne Orji. I attended Imo State University where I finished with upper second class honors. I also attended the Nigerian Law School Enugu Campus where I made a first class grade. I am also a recipient of the Director General's Prize for attaining a first class, and I am also the third best graduating student from Enugu Campus. Okay, what inspired or motivated me to study law? Growing up as a child, we had this chief magistrate who lived in the same building with us. And whenever he was going to court, he would dress so smart in the lawyer's wig and robe. And I used to admire the dressing, how disciplined he was, his countenance, the way he would carry himself. It just made me realize that I want to be a part of this profession. I want to be like this person. So I would say that was the first thing that inspired me to study law. Also, the fact that people used to tell me when I was a child that I like to argue and I like to talk, and I would make a very good lawyer. So I thought, why not? Why not study law? Before resumption, how I prepared for law school. First, I tried to speak to some of my senior colleagues to get some advice on how they navigated law school. Some of them gave me really good advice. Some told me that I should prepare to study from day one, and some told me that law school is better experienced yourself. I also didn't want to ask a lot of questions to my senior colleagues because I wanted my experience to be unique to me. I didn't want my opinion of law school to be influenced by other people. So I didn't really prepare as well. I just knew that I was going to law school and that I wanted to make a first class. One fear that I had about law school before I resumed was the fainting stories. I heard that people fainted a lot in law school and I was so scared. And when I resumed in barely week 5, I landed in the school clinic. So a typical day for me at the Nigerian Law School starts as early as 6 a.m. I attend Winners Campus Fellowship, which lasts for about an hour. So by 7 a.m., I am done from church and I go back to the hostel to prepare for classes. Lectures at Nigerian Law School begins as early as 9 a.m. So I try to ensure that I'm in class before 8:30. So while I'm in class and waiting for the lecturer to arrive, I use that opportunity to memorize my RPC or do some MCQs or even practice my drafts. Afterwards, lectures end around 3 p.m. At Enugu Campus. So I would go to get lunch at the Ojukwu markets, have my lunch, and then have my siesta. I would sleep from roughly 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., then prepare for group meetings from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Then I would study from 7 p.m. till midnight or 7 p.m. till 1 a.m. Yes, I was part of a study group, and it's something that I most definitely would recommend. So, during my time at the law school, my very first study group comprised of my roommates. We would meet to discuss pre class tasks, practice MCQs, and even drafts. Then, during externship, I formed a new study group with certain persons from Lagos campus, Yola campus, and Abuja campus, inclusive of myself from Enugu campus. So, we were about four. We would meet every day by 8 a.m. to discuss topics, answer past questions, and even practice our drafts. Then, when we resumed for externship, I had a new study group, but this time it comprised of 3 persons, myself inclusive, from my campus, and it was more of a physical study group where we would meet and solve past questions together and discuss topics and explain to ourselves. So being part of a study group is very, very important because you get to learn from other people. It's going to expose you to certain things that you may have missed during your reading. But if you're not the type to participate in study groups, that's fine. I know people that didn't join a study group and they still excelled in law school. Yes, in law school, you need a support system, you need a community. For me, I had my family, my relatives, and most importantly, my roommates. Anyone who knows me knows that I cannot talk about my law school experience without talking about my roommates. My roommates were my support system. They encouraged me. We prayed together. And yes, it's very important to have a support system. It just makes the journey easier. I will not recommend doing law school in isolation. Another support system I had was the church. The Winners Campus Fellowship was such a big blessing to me. My pastor at the Winners Campus Fellowship and my colleagues who also worshiped with us at Winners Campus Fellowship, we would all pray together, and it was so comforting to have people who you are able to pray with and talk to. So yes, I did have a very, very strong support system at the Nigerian Law School. So I did use a couple of study methods, and I think all of them were very effective. But the one that stood out the most for me was the use of active recall. I cannot overemphasize this enough. Always force yourself to remember. It helps. Whenever I'm walking on the road, I'm trying to recall something. Whenever I'm going out, I'm in a bus, I'm memorizing my drafts, I'm recalling procedures from corporate law. I'm always forcing myself to remember. Even when I'm bathing, I'm always forcing myself to recall something. It really, really helps. Another technique that helps and is very effective is the Pomodoro Technique, where you study and you take breaks in between. So if you're studying for about an hour, you can take a 10 minutes to 15-minute break. If you're studying for another hour, it really helps with studying. And I did that a lot as well. My approach towards exam preparation, the first thing, your mind. Your mind is the first battlefield. The moment you begin to challenge your mental ceiling and tell yourself that you're capable of achieving a first class grade no matter what, whether you're being graded by your highest grade, lowest grade, average grade, however it's sliced, you're going to make a first class. You have to first make that conscious decision that you want to make a first class. So that was what I did. I told myself that I was going to make a first class. I had a notepad, I set reminders on my phone that would say, Vivian, you're going to make a first class and you can do this and stuff like that. So, first off, my mind was the first thing that I did. Other things that I did included preparing for MCQs because I knew that MCQs carry in total 100 marks, meaning 20 for each course, 20 for each course. And my goal was to have nothing less than 18 over 20. So what I did was that I had a separate notebook for my MCQs, and I would write down the answers that I failed, the reason for the answers, and go back and read them. Whenever you do MCQs, the probability of you failing that question again becomes very, very slim. And MCQ, someone said that there is MCQ reading and there is normal reading. And I cannot even agree more, because when you do MCQs a lot, it even helps you understand your essay work and your theory. It's like it gives you a wider and better understanding of your essay work. So, one thing that I did in the exam hall that I think helped me stand out was the use of the sandwich method, where I usually begin my answer with the generally, then your answer. And then in the middle, I talk about everything that I know that's related to that answer. And then I conclude it with my very first answer. So I didn't feel comfortable giving only short, very, very short answers. I wanted my answers to be really detailed as long as it relates to the question. So I try to keep my answers as detailed as possible. And I think that was something that I did that helped me stand out in the exam hall. For how I studied during externship, during the court attachments, the court usually sits as early as 9 a.m. and would close for the day by 2 p.m. So from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., I would be studying at the court's library. Then for the chamber externship, I would go to the office as early as 9 a.m. and I would study from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. My principal would give me some assignments to do, and after the assignments, I do the assignments in the morning. So after those assignments, then I would study the whole day. So I had more time to study during my chamber externship, and that was where I was able to meet up and cover up my syllabus. Prepping for bar finals was not easy. I knew that I had to re-strategize and double down on some things. I had to let go of my materials. That was the first thing I did. My textbooks, everything else, and strictly read my notes. So I would read notes because I used to make notes. So I read my notes that I made from my slides and class notes and those materials because I used to make notes. So I would strictly focus on the notes, and that was really, really helpful for me. Something else that I did was reading past questions and reading the pre-class tasks that we had already solved in class. So I was mostly just going through the answers. The difficult part of law school for me was the fact that law school is very fast paced. So it's like whether you understand, whether you don't understand, law school is not waiting for you. You have to force yourself to understand. You have to force yourself all the time. And keeping a positive mindset with everything that happens in law school is not easy. There were times I wanted to settle for less. I wanted to just say, after all, it's not just to pass. If I pass and I'm going to be a lawyer, because all this effort I'm putting in just for a first class is not easy. So there were times that it was not easy staying positive, keeping a positive mindset, challenging that mental ceiling. It was not easy, and I found it to be really difficult to stay motivated. Another aspect of law school that I found difficult was finances. Law school is very expensive. It was not easy for me. It was not easy for me to keep managing my finances when I'm buying food every day. It really was not easy, but I'm so grateful that I had a very supportive system back at home. My family, my uncles, my aunties, my cousins, they were so helpful to me and at least helped make the journey easier. Something else that I found challenging in law school was also the fact that my health began to break down. At some point, I had like a blood pressure of 200 and something, and the doctor asked me to take it easy. It wasn't easy having to make sure that your health is okay. So you don't do something that's going to cause you other problems with your health. So I had to, at some point, I stopped reading for long hours. So I would probably read from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. or 10 p.m. and then go to bed early. So it was not easy knowing that you don't have the luxury to be sleeping because the doctor said get 7 hours of sleep. And I was like, uh, which 7 hours? How many hours do we even have in law school? 24 hours is barely enough, and having to sleep for 7 hours from where to where. So it was something that I found really challenging, but I'm glad that eventually I was able to navigate that challenge in law school. How I was able to overcome tough days and not lose sight of my goal was that I always kept myself motivated all the time. I didn't want to hear negative talk. Whenever I hear, oh, something happened here, something happened there, I always tried to close my ears to that. I also kept myself very motivated. I had reminders on my phone that would come in hourly telling me, you can do this, Vivienne, first class, you can do this, you got this. I'm rooting for you, Vivian. So seeing that always helped make me feel energized. And most importantly, prayers. Whenever I went to church to pray, I always came out feeling stronger, and I always came out feeling better and more energized. So how I handled pressure in law school? Well, I'm a people person, so sometimes I would go to town and buy myself something nice. Whenever I feel exhausted or tired, I would leave this campus and go to town and get myself something to feel better. During SRC week, because I'm a makeup artist, I came to law school. I resumed from externship with my makeup things. So during SRC week, I had to do some of my friends' makeup and they paid me for it. And it was really therapeutic for me because I was just relaxed. And because of the SRC week, I think it lasted for about 3 days. It was about 3 weeks to bar finals. So I didn't read for that 3 days. I attended the SRC week party. And after the SRC week period, I came out feeling very, very refreshed. I felt like myself again. I felt energized. I was very happy. And it really helped me with the stress because it was a way for me to just let loose and enjoy myself and just dance with my friends. And, the SRC week period really, really helped me. It helped me a lot. I can remember one time I felt so pressured and I snapped at my roommates. Like I just snapped for no reason. And I felt so bad and I cried afterwards and I apologized to her because at that time, I think it was like a few days to bar finals. So I was so tense during that period that, oh my God, I'm not ready. But it was a lot, but I'm so glad that I had a support system. Again, my roommates really, really helped make everything easier. They were so funny. They knew how to tell jokes. We would laugh a lot, and it was just it helped. It helped a lot with the pressure. So, how I was able to take care of my mental health and well being in law school. At the beginning of law school, my roommates and I used to exercise, but at some point it wasn't feasible anymore because of the law school schedule. So, something else that I turned to was listening to music and sometimes watching movies when I can. And I had this playlist on my Spotify. I can't remember the name, but it was basically spoken word motivational speech. It really helped me because it helped me keep my mind in check. It helped me know that at the end of the day, I'm bigger. I'm the bigger person. I'm bigger than everything else. And I am able to succeed as long as I'm focused and I'm determined. And that really helped me a lot during my time at the law school. One advice that I'm going to give to persons who are about to join the Nigerian Law School is that you have to first challenge yourself. Don't settle. Don't be comfortable. Challenge that mental ceiling that you set for yourself. Don't limit yourself. Have a goal. For your MCQs, tell yourself, I can make 18 over 20, or the least I can make is a 15 over 20, or the least I can make is even a 20 over 20. It's doable, right? I know of someone that I watched her story on Young VIP TV who said she answered only 10 questions in her property law practice and she made a first class. 10 questions and she was still able to make a first class. So it's anything is doable. You just have to not give up. Keep going. You can do this. Don't limit yourself. I used to tell myself, if my first class is going to be graded by my lowest grade, it's an A. If it's by the middle, it's an A. If it's by anything, however you choose to slice it 1 million times, that's going to be the outcome. There's only going to be one outcome. And the moment you keep telling yourself something, you believe it, and your body is just going to align with your goal. And that was what happened to me. Normally, I'm not the kind of person that will sit down for long hours to read or anything, but I saw myself putting in the work. I saw myself pushing boundaries, and that is how you succeed. If you're comfortable, if you limit yourself before the system even gets a chance to limit you, you're not going to be able to achieve your goals. So first tell yourself that it's doable. It doesn't matter what you finished with from the university. It doesn't matter whatever you think your limitations are. Just make that conscious decision to succeed, and you'll see how everything is going to align with your goals. They always say throw your heart above the bar and your body is going to follow. So that's one advice that I have to give. Oh my God, how I felt when I saw my results. So our results came out around, I think, 9, 10-ish. So when I checked my results, I kept my phone on one side and I was just trying to use the corner of my eye to um see what I had gotten. And it was not looking long. And it was just two syllables. And I was like, I looked and it was the first class and I screamed. I started calling my dad. And my dad was like, what is it? What is it? My siblings thought something bad even happened. So my dad was like, I don't know, I made the first class, I made the first class. My father was like, she was so happy. I couldn't even believe it. It was surreal, really. I was so happy and I screamed because I used to tell God I'm going to scream when it's a first class. Like they always say, how will you shout? How will you scream? That was exactly what I did. Looking back, I think what made the biggest difference in my journey is my mindset. So I first changed my mindset. I told myself that the reason I was not able to make a first class in uni was because I didn't aspire for it. And I just wanted to graduate with a high two, and that's what I used to say. But when I got to law school, I wanted to prove to myself that I am able to achieve anything that I set my mind to. And that was exactly what I did. And looking back, I think your mindset makes the biggest difference. When you change your mindset, your entire body, everything in you begins to align with your mindset. And to me, that's what made the biggest difference in my law school journey. One memorable moment for me at the Nigerian Law School, it's quite an emotional one, was when I called my dad and I was crying and I was saying, I can't do this, so I can't do this. I just want to come home. And my dad encouraged me and told me that I can do this, that I should remain strong and keep my head high. It was so emotional because I think that my dad doesn't really see me as the kind of person to shy away from a challenge or even break down like that. So he was really, really, he even almost cried. I could hear his voice breaking and he encouraged me and told me that I can do this. And after that call, I felt so much better. It was so emotional. But yeah, that's one moment I don't think I'll ever forget in my law school journey. Another helpful tip that I would say was key to my success is answering questions in class. I always tell people not to be afraid of the mic. Answer questions in class. Whenever you answer questions in class, you never really forget that thing that you said in class. And also, the lecturer is going to correct you where mistakes have been made. So always answer questions in class. Something else that I did was to use mnemonics a lot. I used a lot of mnemonics to memorize my procedures, my RPC, and other things as well. Also do past questions. In the morning leading up to my exams, I also study past questions, just read through the answers. You never really know what could be helpful. So always keep an open mind as well to learn something new. Always be willing to learn. One way that I also kept myself motivated at the Nigerian Law School was watching Young VIP TV videos. I'm a very big fan of Young VIP TV, and I think that Young VIP TV is doing an amazing job at inspiring law students. It's very helpful because whenever I hear the stories of people who have come before me, I feel so much better. I tell myself, if these people can do it, then I too can do it. So if you're a law student, I encourage you to keep watching videos from Young VIP TV. You'll be highly, highly inspired. You will learn new things.